All right, hello, welcome. Welcome to Talking Investing. I'm Tom.
And I am George.
He's a George, and we are here on time. Welcome, everybody. Hey, Colton, how are you?
Are we here to talk about investments?
We're here to talk about investing and whatever else may come up on the live stream within reason.
He's already qualifying it for me.
Hey, Patient Bill.
You want to wait until we get big until you tell CZ what you're offering him?
Yeah, we'll wait. We'll wait for the middle of the stream for that.
What is it? Patient Bill said Cleanspark now 71.7 million shares. What does that mean?
71.7. So they've been issuing. They're issuing a lot of shares. You saw they just bought. They made like 5 or 6 major purchases, and even since their September 30th financial statements, I think they were at 55 million, and then they were listed at 64, and most recently now they're up to 71 million. So they've been doing a lot of dilution, but 71 million is still one of the lowest share counts out there. So, and it still leaves them at, like 125, $130 million market cap, which, I don't know. Some people, it depends on how you feel about CleanSpark. I'll tell you, there's two schools of thought. Some of these companies are selling their Bitcoin. There's only a very few left that are holding them, and people have very different concepts on that. So I get from one extreme to the other on how people feel about that. So, who's to say what's right or wrong? Hello, Alex. Hello, Barry. Hello, JD. Hello, Darren. Hello, Jeff. Hello, JJT. Hello, everybody, if I missed you. Welcome. Welcome to
JJ.
What was a rally in the last half hour.
A rally.
Darren,
Where are we at?
happy triple witching day.
Where's Bitcoin? Where is Bitcoin right now?
All right, let's go to the Bitcoin chart.
Oh, Colton, I sold core before it pumped. Ooh, that one hurt.
All right, Bitcoin's at a key level. Well, that's all right, Colton, because I think I answered one of your things online. I bought it the day before it tanked. So I bought it the day before it tanked. You sold it the day before it went back up. So we lost both sides of that trade.
You guys have got to pay attention to what's going on in the news. So I got out of CleanSpark, I made a bunch of money, and then I got back in the CleanSpark, and I'm just even. I haven't lost anything.
You're about break even?
No. I'm up, but on the second trade, I'm like even. Oh, I'm probably down now. What is it at right now?
CleanSpark?
Uh-huh.
It's $1.89.
I bought it at $1.98.
All right, well, we'll see how next week goes. I think we're at a critical little spot right now that it's fighting with, and I hate to get. I'm on the verge of giving up on my relief rally for the rest of this year. But if it holds this line, then I'm still on board.
You're crazy, dude. It's gonna be December 30th. I'm hoping
2-day relief rally. That's right. Hey, you never know. Bring me some good news, says Jeff. George, you must have some good news.
Good news. I think the only good news is that we're going to flush out these people that do not have good intentions for cryptocurrency. That's the only good news I can come up with.
This is a very painful part of the process. So Barry is asking, Core's video out of date. Now, I just did a Core's video yesterday, and I am not aware of any material change to what has happened since I did that video yesterday. So I'm not sure, Barry, have you seen my yesterday's video? That was after B. Riley put out their letter to shareholders and lenders, and I went through and dissected that. So I have a pretty comprehensive video on that. Let me know if somebody knows that there's news that happened after that. I think there was a big pullback today, but that's actually exactly what I said in my video yesterday, so that was no surprise to me.
I think, okay, just so you guys all know, this is what I'm going to say. I think they're going to keep the pain until the United States debt ceiling crisis, which is the January 8th, and I'm hoping to see something move then. But this could continue into 2023.
So Patient Bill, just so you know, if they were so keen to sell Bitcoin, why weren't they dumping at 60, 50, 40? So the answer to that was they were. So they had the highest average sales price per Bitcoin of any Bitcoin miner in the market. So they did average themselves out. Now, they mined a lot more Bitcoin at lower numbers. So obviously they sold more Bitcoin at the low numbers because they were mining more Bitcoin. But they adopted that philosophy sometime at or around January 1st, 2022. So it wasn't quite at 60,000. You're right. It had pulled back a little from there, but they were the very first ones to start selling Bitcoin. So they do have the best average. Now the people that held them, we'll see if if Bitcoin goes back to where we hope it goes, then those people will be the winners, but there's almost none of those people left, and all too many people, like Core Scientific for instance, had to sell all theirs at the low. So, and Bitfarms had to sell a lot of them at or near the lows. So there was a lot of people that unfortunately did do what Patient Bill is talking about and they held their Bitcoin that they mined at 60,000 and sold it at 20. But it's been that kind of year.
What was I going to tell you? A lot of shady folks out there. Did anybody hear about this thing with, I can't remember his name. His name was Charles. I can't think of his last name. But that he counted up the number of Bitcoins that are trading on the exchanges, and it was 29 million, which we all know there can't be 29 million. And they're thinking that's one of the reasons why the price action of the Bitcoin isn't moving. I don't know if anybody else heard this thing.
So what's his thinking? Because we know I think there's 18 or 19 million out there. There's a couple million left to mine over the next 100 years.
Right, and there's like a couple million that no one can ever use again.
Yeah, there's a solid 3 to 5 million that are lost and gone forever. Nobody knows that exact number, but yeah, there's millions and millions. I mean, once they're gone, they're gone.
They're gone.
And then there's another millions and millions in wallets that haven't moved in a decade. So those probably aren't going anywhere anytime soon.
So the key in this statement is, what is it? No keys, no coins?
No keys, no coins. That's right.
No keys, no coins. They're not your coins. If you don't have them off these exchanges, they're not. These are not real coins. These are make-believe coins.
Not if you ask CZ. He came out today and said 99% of the people that take their coins off and put it into a cold storage are going to lose them. So
but think about
that statistic is brought to you by CZ. That is not me. That was a quote from him.
That could be the dumbest thing ever. Now, I will say there is going to be a percentage. Yeah, not your keys, not your coins.
Some people will lose their. That's right. Some people already have, and some people will. So you run that risk. There's risk. Everything has risk associated with it. That's what people always forget. It's like, oh well, this could happen. It's like, yeah, I could slip in the shower. I mean, there's always a risk, no matter what you're doing.
And remember, I've always been saying there's another stable, and I use the word stable, as in, like, yeah, right. That Tether thing, still nothing has happened with Tether to date. That makes me feel comfortable with Tether.
I mean, not to get into the George conspiracy world, but, maybe they're saving that one.
Yeah, I think.
Because they got an awful lot going on right now. They don't need any new news.
And I was saying to Tom earlier today, and people don't like what I'm going to say, but I'm believing there is a case scenario that Bitcoin can get to 3,500 now. And it isn't because of the metrics and because of the supply and anything like that. It's for one simple reason. Fear.
Yeah, I mean, and the technicals have been not very useful for quite some time now.
Yeah.
So
what technicals?
And the fundamentals are going to play out over a long period of time. So,
think of how corrupt crypto is right now. If that's true with this 29 million Bitcoin, right? There's a serious problem. So that you don't have the upward pressure on Bitcoin anymore. They're taking that away. So they've been screwing us now for about a year.
I'd like to know how.
And
Go ahead.
unfortunately, here's the other problem. The biggest problem is, you ready? No one oversees it, so they're not really doing anything wrong.
Well, that's coming. That's coming for sure. I'm trying to catch up. Gareth, hello, Gareth. Gareth said, hi, Tom and George.
Hey,
what a red day. I came back in after a week ago thinking there was some bargains, and this was the result. Trying to stay hopeful. Well, I'll tell you, but yes, true. But I'm going to give you guys two examples. Two weird things happened. There's two Bitcoin miners that just took off and skyrocketed at the end of the day. And they don't look like they skyrocketed because they're not that high. But if you look at... Oh, wow. Now, did that really change that much? Okay, so Argo Blockchain took a roller coaster. I'm going to show you guys that chart. And Bitfarms was red for 3/4 of the day. So this is the last 3 hours of the... This is Bitfarms on the 1 hour time frame. So, you know, this was deeply red. This was all day long down in a straight line. And then for whatever reason... This is... What's going on? Yeah, I mean, it was up 16% in the last couple hours of the day. Other things did not move that way. I'm not sure what happened. I don't understand why this was an anomaly. It didn't seem to be... Now, Argo was even more confusing because the last time I looked at Argo... See, something's not jiving because this chart says 50 cents and this thing says 38 cents. Because Argo today went from down significant... From top to bottom today, Argo traded... It was close to a 50%... Oh, yeah, because this is the bottom. Sorry. So it was over 50%. From the bottom to the top, and it didn't finish at the top, it was 52% change on the day in Argo Blockchain on very low volume. Now, they always have very low volume, so it was normal volume for them. But, you know, they don't trade 1 million shares of Argo in a day. Let me see. Let's just see how many. So this does say 38 cents. So that 50 cents is wrong. This 38. So it pulled all the way back. Yeah, weird stuff happened here. And it did end up with double the volume. So that must have all been very near. It's not showing the one-day chart on this. I don't know. Something happened. If anybody knows what in the heck went on with Argo, something strange went on. But I was very glad. You guys know Bitfarms is one of my bigger positions that I've been holding for a long time, and they had a very good end to the day today, so I was glad about that. Where did that go? Bitcoin. There we go. All right, so yeah, I mean, Bitfarms just went wild at the end of the day. I don't know. All right, let me catch up. I think George had to go take a call or something because he went dark. Barry saying, at this stage, the market might as well just stay low. All the graphs starting in 2023 will have a better chance of looking positive. Yeah, I mean... I hate to think of it that way, but, and there's no time. Listen, we haven't even started the 2023 conversation yet, so the opinions are all over the place about that. People are still predicting a lot more pain to come. We're getting predictions all over the place, so we're definitely going to have to, it's the middle of December, we got to start talking about 2023 and thinking about what's going to be going on in 2023. And the Fed just gave us a bunch of hints. I feel like everybody... Not the people. I feel like the news and the media and the articles, I feel like they put a lot of FUD out about this Fed meeting that just happened because really in my opinion, that Fed meeting was spot on, precisely what he said, exactly what he told us he was going to say. And the only variation at all, and I'll show you the chart that this then became priced in. So they were saying, oh, this was so hawkish. It was so hawkish. For every channel I went to, wow, the Fed was so hawkish. Well, the only really change that he made, and it was a slight change, he loosened up and said, you know, maybe he would consider a 25 basis point rate hike in the February 1st meeting. Whereas in the past, they've been talking about a 50. And what he really said was like, you know, I'm not going to answer that question. You know, all those possibilities are still on the table. So to me, that was a little bit dovish. And you can see, I'm going to show you what the market did. So a week ago, the market thought there was a 40% chance of a 25 basis point rate hike. After the Fed talk, that shot up to 75%. So that is dovish. So all this talk about everybody saying, wow, the Fed was so hawkish and that's why the market is crashing and tanking. That is incorrect. It's correct that the market has had a bad couple of days, really simultaneously with the Fed speaking, but it's not because they were hawkish in a way that we didn't expect. They said what we expected and probably even something a little bit softer than we expected, in my opinion. Darren said that person counting Bitcoin must be the same person who counted the votes in Arizona. All right. George came back just in time for that one.
That was a good one. I mean, just so you know, I don't agree with that statement, you know.
You neither agree nor disagree.
Or disagree. Is he talking about 2022 or 2020?
So Jeff is saying there's artificial synthetic Bitcoin being traded, and which is not good. So
what does that mean? What does that mean? Explain that to people like me who don't understand.
That means that people are making trades with Bitcoin when they don't really have the Bitcoin.
Right. So what does that do to the price?
Well,
it suppresses it.
If you're selling,
let me put it in the language that I understand. They're screwing us. Does that not make sense?
Well, I mean,
Tom, if they don't have them on the exchange and they're saying they have them and they're selling them multiple times to different people, what are they doing? They're screwing us.
And they do the same thing in the stock market. It's not good and it's not right and it doesn't help.
The stock market usually these companies have a ton of shares. But that's not true, Tom, because they have to clear it up at the night, every single night.
No, they trade synthetic shares in the market, in the dark pool.
Oh, yeah, but that's after hours, man.
This
is a truth meter. This is supposed to be true.
Who's to say what the truth is?
No, I mean, we know what the truth is. Here's what they have somebody, and I say these exchanges have made deals with one another, right? And they said, listen, let's do this. What? I don't know. Just make some money and screw everybody. I am so bent on crypto right now. It's not even funny. Even Bitcoin.
What does that mean?
I'm bent. I mean, I just think there's a problem. Does that make sense? I think there's a major problem with Bitcoin now.
Well, it's certainly not having a great time.
No, it's not having a great time at all.
We're at Bitcoin 16,824. So for me to get specific for a minute, I'm going to go to the 4-hour because I'm looking at this blue line. To me, this was what I said in my video earlier today. This is what I've been saying. And you can see we're hanging around just below. We got above it, and now we're back below it. I think we need to hold this blue line, and I'll show you why. You know what? I'll go all the way to the 1 day. Well, let's visit so on the 4-hour time frame, you can see there have been some 4-hour candles that have closed below this, but we've stuck very close to this. This is the entirety of December. This goes back to November 30th. So if I go to the 1-day candles, whoa. We got like a 16-day streak here. starting with this is 17 days, starting with this big green candle. We got above this blue line, and we've been at or above it basically every single day. Now, the first 12 days were totally sideways. Then we had a big run up, and then we ran right back down, and now here we are testing this line. So you can see we've tested this before, even on the 1 day. We've been in the ballpark. So if we can stay in the ballpark and bounce off of this, then that's what I'm talking about. I still think there's 2 weeks left to rally in the year. I'm running out of real estate here as far as calling a rally goes. But if this does not hold and we start closing daily candles and opening and closing daily candles below this, then I think probably there's a good chance we may go back and retest
Colton just said, can I admit I don't understand Bitcoin at all and I'm just gambling? Question mark?
Can who admit that? Can Colton admit that?
I can admit that. Bitcoin, there is no metrics anymore on Bitcoin. That is what they just told us. Tom wasn't prepared for this, guys. Tom's like searching his brain to figure out what to say.
No, every once in a while I have to catch up on the chat. I'm not a good multitasker. So sorry, I zone out every once in a while. All right, go. Hit me up. What is it?
No, I have a rough time with what they're doing on these exchanges. There is no honest exchange anymore.
You're talking about the cryptocurrency exchanges.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
there's massive.
Which makes me believe, Tom, what you just said is the same thing that's happening in the marketplace, in the whole stock market.
Yeah, it probably is.
Yeah, it's probably the same programs that run both.
There's a lot of
Bitcoin
manipulation.
Equals perfect money. Well, there's only one problem. I agree with you, but the problem is you don't have perfect actors. Does that make sense?
So I'm going to hit something Patient Bill said because it's something I wanted to talk about, and I think it's important. Bitcoin, he said, Bitcoin is not crypto. Crypto is not Bitcoin. Please stop using the terms interchangeably. This is why they're in such a mess in the first place. And I think what he's trying to get at is there's a big difference between Bitcoin, which is the point of Bitcoin is to be decentralized. And these cryptocurrency exchanges, the point of them is to be centralized. So all this stuff that they've tried to put into the cryptocurrency world that's centralized is failing. Mainly because it's such early days that we still have everybody pushing the limits. It's a little bit of the Wild West, and there's no regulation. So, I mean, this is the common trajectory of, a new thing like this. So there, I agree, there is a difference. As all these exchanges continue to fail, it really doesn't have any impact on the actual Bitcoin itself. Bitcoin remains its own decentralized thing. And, to an extent, there is Bitcoins and altcoins. So even Ethereum's considered an altcoin.
All right, so what you're saying is if they trade them and they're synthetic, that doesn't affect the price of Bitcoin?
Who's saying that?
Is that what you're trying to say? I'm just trying to follow what you're saying.
No, what I'm saying, in the short term, any given day, what happens, I'm just saying the Bitcoin chain itself is, there's total accountability on that. It has not been hacked. It has not been broken. And that's where Bitcoin exists. When people trade it on an exchange, that's a centralized thing people are doing. When they give their Bitcoin to an exchange and say, here, you hold it, now all of a sudden you've gone from your keys, your wallet, you've gone from decentralized to that's like they're acting like a bank, if you will, a crypto bank. Now you're giving your money over, and because there's no regulations, they're a black box. So you don't know what they're doing with them. Are they holding them? Are they leveraging them? Are they selling them? Are they buying a yacht with them? These are the questions we're now asking about FTX, right? apparently, even after all this time, there's $8 billion. Nobody has any idea where that $8 billion went. So, like, funds were getting commingled with their other company. And that is all because FTX and Alameda, those are centralized. FTX is a centralized trading platform. Binance is a centralized trading platform. So we're taking our decentralized stuff and centralizing it. And that is where the system has broken down. And I don't think it's a permanent problem. I think there's a fix to this, and I think the fix is coming.
I have a question. Can't the exchanges all, or the people that mine Bitcoin, all get together and say something like the keys have to be exchanged for buying Bitcoin? Do you see what I mean?
What do you mean?
So if I go on Kraken and I buy 1 Bitcoin, that has to be somehow or another shown where that coin is taken off and put into my wallet. Because that's what's not happening.
But that's because it's deregulated. So there's no way you as a consumer can't say that. So when you give your Bitcoin to Kraken, you're taking it at their word that they are going to hold that in custody for you. But you don't know that that's true. There's no regulations to show that or prove that. And again, I hate to be the regulations guy because I'm not a big regulations person, but with money involved, there has to be accountability and transparency.
Right, but can't we say, okay, listen, you have to establish a wallet for these exchanges? It's funny that we're sitting here as we talk about this, and we just discovered in the course of all, Congress having hearings on FTX and all the problems that they had, that it seems like it's a relatively easy fix for programming to have the keys be allocated to the person that obviously.
But it's not a programming thing. Once you have a Binance in the middle,
right?
Now there are no more keys. You don't see the transaction on the chain. You're giving it to an intermediary party, and you don't know what they're doing with it. So that's like me going, listen,
you don't even know if that's the right price or not. You don't even know if that's the market price.
Every single exchange is slightly different in their price of Bitcoin at any given time.
Wow.
And when if you go from wallet to wallet, that happens on the chain, and that you can see. But if you're just giving your money, if it's already sitting in there and they're moving it around, I mean, that's where you can't see your money. You can see your money when it's in your wallet, and that's it. Let's catch up on the chat because we're falling behind. Martin said, I've been calling for a rally since September. I know. I'm still waiting. Martin, I'm an optimist. This is the first week I've been seriously worried about my mining stocks. That's from Stephen English. So, I don't blame you. This is getting nerve-wracking. We've got most of these stocks are turning into penny stocks right before our eyes. And, it's extremely nerve-wracking to be somebody that's a long-term buy and hold person. At Colton, similar, but in gambling, time is not on your side, whereas in Bitcoin, it is on your side, hodl. So that was from Jay.
We hope.
That's right. Well, that's the buy and hold theory. That's if you believe in Bitcoin, and if you get back to right now, all of these, this is all about bad actors, and a few bad actors can turn the whole situation on its head, especially this early in the game. So we've had some big, and one of the bigger problems was FTX, for whatever reason, and I will never know why this is true. They were considered kind of the gold standard, and there was no reason for that. That's just something that all the rich people decided was FTX is the gold standard because there was no evidence of that in any way, shape, or form. That gentleman, SBF, did not present himself as somebody that you would that instilled confidence, and you would think that's the person in charge of the gold standard exchange. So however that happened, it happened, but that's why it was even a more serious dent. They were one of the biggest ones, and they were one of the most trusted ones. And just even the day before they went bankrupt, they were telling people, your money's fine, your money's good, your money's safe with us. So for as long as until the crypto exchanges are either regulated and transparent, or we find some other way, some of the major brokers or people or other organizations that people already trust, and there has to be a bigger fix to this. We're all getting punished so severely because these exchanges have taken, and whether it's the exchanges or whether it's private trading companies, they've used leverage to an unreasonable extent. They've used risk beyond belief. They've lent money that's not theirs. They've borrowed money that wasn't theirs to borrow. Anything that they can do wrong, they have done wrong. And it's because nobody's looking. Nobody's even allowed to look. Here's the CZ just said in an interview yesterday, he's not going to have an auditor come in because auditors don't understand his business. So he doesn't need an audit because they don't know what they're doing. So does that instill confidence in the general investing public? Right? There's no other business in the history of anywhere that has said, "Oh, hey, SEC, we're not getting an audit this year." You know why? Because the auditors, they don't understand our business. Our business is different than everybody else's business. So, just take our word for it. We're all good.
And speaking of that, we came up with an idea for CZ. Tom can do the audit. Tom has the credentials to do the audit. If he doesn't want the big four, he can have the small four do it.
Yeah, because Becky Quick on CNBC specifically asked him, why don't you just have one of the big four come in and audit, and then the mystery is taken out of this. The problem's solved. And that was his answer as well. They don't understand my business. So, they wouldn't know how to do it. And then he just moved on and dodged the question. So, yeah, anybody, I would like it to be one of the big four because that will shed the most light on it. People have the most faith in the big four accounting firms, but it doesn't have to be. It can be any reputable accounting firm. Let somebody somewhere from the outside, like George said, I'll go look.
Somebody has to that will sign on the line that's dotted that has, some type of credentials. Unlike the one with Tether. Do you remember the one we read on Tether?
Which one?
The one we read about Tether. We went and we were like, okay, you have to go over here and see this report. And we followed all the reports. We get to the end and it's like, we don't know. Yeah, we really can't honestly say.
We're not sure.
We're not sure.
This accounting firm, I don't know how to say this name, Mazars, I'm going to say. So this is the firm, if you remember, Binance last week went and had like a spot count to verify their reserves. But the thing is, that is not an audit. And we had talked about that here. Doesn't even slightly resemble an audit. So Mazars themselves is pausing all work with crypto firms, including Crypto.com, KuCoin, and Binance, according to a spokesperson for Binance. Mazars has since deleted all crypto reports from its website. So this report that Binance is referencing, saying, "Look, we got an audit report." No, it wasn't an audit report. In fact, they say Mazars noted proof of reserves reports are performed in accordance with reporting standards relevant to an agreed upon procedure. They do not constitute either an assurance or an audit opinion on the subject matter. So they did not perform an audit in any way, shape, or form. Instead, they report limited findings based on an agreed procedures performed on the subject matter at a historical point in time. So, that's like showing one part of a puzzle. It's really of no use without the rest of it. It's like, It's like showing somebody, oh, I got $1,000 in my wallet. Yeah, but you owe somebody else $1 million. So, you know, what do you really have?
Uh-oh.
I'm saying if I'm correct, I'm going to be the only one that called it. Well, the only caveat I would say to that is at what point, I mean, I've been waiting for it for a long time. So even a broken clock is right. Twice a day.
Twice a day. Can you hear me?
I hear you. You hear me?
Okay, good, because, yeah. No, I couldn't, I like logged off or something for a second.
I am super far behind, so I'm trying to stay caught up. Oh, if everybody can do us a favor and... Did it do it? Did it do its thing? If you guys could smash the like button, it has helped even the live stream as we're doing it. It helps if you guys smash the like button, so I appreciate it.
Does it count for interaction or something?
Yeah, it literally will show this to more people, and they can join us and talk with us if more people hit the like button. So it makes a big difference. I don't make the rules. It just does.
Me.
All right, let's see. Jay said, I feel the pain of the FTX investors, but in the end, glad it happened sooner or later since scams always follow innovation. Right. I mean, this is that I agree, Jay. This is that period. And if I'm remembering correctly, Jay, and let me know if I'm wrong, Jay, I think you were a partner at one of the big firms in accounting. If I'm thinking of the wrong person, let me know. But so you know all too well what CZ is saying. Not that everybody else doesn't understand as well, but you know, it's not what he's talking about is not reasonable. And what Jay is saying is that yeah, this was bound to, for as long as there's no transparency, no regulations, no audits, this was going to happen. So at some point, this pain was coming our way. Well, now it's here. I think we have already gotten through a lot of the pain. And, you know, is it over? Probably not over. I don't know. We have one member of the channel who said, I did a video today on Binance. And I basically said one of two things needs to happen. Either they need to get on board and get an audit, or they're just going to lose market share and go away over the course of time as regulations are passed. So I think it's a survival thing for them, in my opinion, and it's not a today or tomorrow thing, but ultimately, I don't think they survive if they don't have transparency. So somebody said that they feel like that is FUD. And there's nothing wrong. Binance is absolutely fine. And it's just Americans making a lot of FUD regarding Binance. So I would just put it out to you guys. What do you guys think? And the thing is, even if that person is right, which they might be, maybe Binance is fine. But the consumer has lost confidence in them now, because we've seen too many of these companies go under. So even if they are fine, the fact that they won't show us they're fine really equates to them not being fine. It's all about consumer confidence.
I've lost confidence, Tom. They're winning. They're winning.
I know you have.
But Tom, you want to know? There was a glimmer of hope that Tom told me, and which is sad. But what this glimmer of hope is?
What?
The glimmer of hope was, but there's no sense of beating these guys up anymore. They've beaten them up to such a degree they can't make any more money. I mean, what are they going to do? Make 10 million? Who cares?
Right. The Bitcoin miners in particular, the market cap all put together for all the Bitcoin miners could potentially, I'm going to update my report this weekend, it might be under $2 billion at this point. I mean, just Marathon alone used to be a $7.5 billion market cap. Now all of them, all added up put together, are less than $2 billion. So, and most of these are now micro cap companies, 15 million, 20 million, 30 million, even $50 million is a tiny, it's a penny stock.
Yeah.
The biggest one out of all of them, is actually Riot. And that's $635 million. So here, I actually pulled up the list. This is just companies traded in the U.S., so this is not the world. Riot is the largest Bitcoin mining company. Marathon is second, and they're a couple $100 million behind now at this point. Riot has surged past Marathon. So that makes Riot the 2,235th largest publicly traded company just in the United States. So this entire sector, nobody, for the big money that wants to get rich, there's nothing left for them here. There's table scraps. So at some point, I do think that will help these things recover. Right? What's the point of shorting a stock that's down 99%? The well's dry. That said, I don't give my Bitcoin to Coinbase. I bought it from them, and they are holding it for me. Are they holding it in are they holding it in cold storage? Hot storage? The problem is, and Coinbase, again, I think, in my opinion, is actually a little bit different than all the others because Coinbase is a publicly traded company. So their stuff is looked at. Now, I do think there's going to be more regulations, and all of these exchanges are going to be scrutinized at a much higher level than they currently are. But at least Coinbase is accountable. When you look at their 10K, you will see all of their assets, all of their liabilities, and you will see that they have set aside in custody 100% of all of their customers' money. So
that might be the only. Are you talking about GBTC?
Coinbase.
I don't trust Coinbase. I don't know why.
I know why. Because they got something going on with BlackRock. So, somebody said on our stream last time they think BlackRock's just going to swallow them up.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. So I will add if I was to put my money anywhere, it would be on Coinbase. So, and that's not financial advice. That's my personal opinion. But yes, if I was to put my money anywhere, it would be on Coinbase because they are regulated in some way. So, and that's no certainty either. Charles, it's scary thinking about averaging down on miner stocks. Yeah, I mean, I've had a few I've taken the whole run with, so it's rough. Gary said, Tom, on October 25th, Mara was 14.76 and Riot was $7. Now trading at 388 and 380. Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. Marathon was essentially double, and now they're virtually the same. They have been linked with Marathon having higher market cap for over a year before this. What is happening? I mean, if you remember back in the day, those were the only two traded in the U.S., and they would kind of trade back and forth and switch market caps. And then when Marathon made that announcement that they're getting to 23.3 exahash, and that was well over a year ago now, they started to pull away and became the larger market cap company. I don't own Marathon, and I do own some Riot. So for me, I've always said, and if you watch my videos, you know, I'm more comfortable with Riot. They're a more consistent performer, in my opinion. I think they have a better strategy. So it's no surprise to me that they have caught up and passed. But we don't know. Both of those companies have a lot of upside potential, in my opinion. I know, and I know the feelings on Marathon. This is another love them or hate them. Like there's a lot of people out there that love Marathon because there is a massive potential for them to go places, but there's a lot of other people that are frustrated because it just seems like whatever their potential is, they're not actually going anywhere. Right? They powered down in November. They mined less Bitcoin than they did in October. So we'll see how December goes. December, there was a 3-day period where they mined like 1 coin, but then the next day they mined like 4 coins. So I feel like they're turning the machines on and off, and I don't know if it's to save money on power or I'm not exactly sure what they're doing. Somebody's saying Gary, Marathon is crap, so that proves my point. This is a love 'em or hate 'em company. Let's see. Patient Bill. Coors and Gree just given delisting notices. Yes, Coors and Gree, and sadly my Bitfarms has been given notice. So there's 180 days to correct that. They need to be trading above $1 for 10 consecutive days, sometime in the next 180 days. If they are not, then they're delisted. Now, obviously, at any point in the middle, they can do a reverse stock split and avoid that. But those are typically frowned upon. So, I think that's not option one. So if they can avoid it, I think they will try to get back above $1, all these companies. Some of them, I'm very worried about Coors and Gree. So, that's 2 that Patient Bill happened to mention. Those are 2 that are on my list of 6 that I just don't know if they're going to make it. But we'll see. Nobody they're not gone until they're gone. Patient Bill said Mara has been tapping hard and paid off their revolver today. So if they paid that $100 million, well, I think it was 2 different $50 million lines. If they paid off the revolver that was encumbering their Bitcoin, then to me, that would be a very positive thing. That was the thing I was most worried about with Marathon. They got all this fantastic debt, like $800 million worth of convertible notes, no principal due until 2026, interest at 1%. I mean, that was like the ideal setup. And then they got this, this short-term revolver that was awful terms. So if they got themselves out of that, then I would feel an awful lot better about Marathon. Warrior saying 18.4, where Bitcoin will take support from. So you think it's going to go to 18.4? Colton said, I want to take Kevin O'Leary for a boat ride. Kevin O'Leary hasn't necessarily made a lot of friends lately. Did you see, he did his thing in front of, I guess it was Congress, whoever it was in front of, and I only saw the highlights of it, and he was saying some wacky stuff. I'm not sure what he's trying to get at, and he keeps semi-defending Sam Bankman-Fried for some reason that I can't understand. I don't think that's a very popular opinion to take, and I don't necessarily know that he even believes that. I mean, maybe he knows the guy. I don't know. Maybe his judgment is clouded because it's a personal friend. And I don't know. Who knows what happened at FTX? What I do know is that there was either some gross negligence or some intentional wrongdoing. So I don't have any way to know which one of those things it is, but you don't have a multi-billion-dollar company and then a sister company and you're commingling funds. And later, when you're the CEO, you don't get to say, this is the first time hearing of that. I didn't really realize that was going on. So that's just not how it works at all. There's almost no chance that he didn't know that was going on. And if he did not know that was going on, as the CEO, he should be fired instantaneously, and it would be negligent to not know that you've... If your company has loaned somebody billions of dollars and you're the CEO and you don't know it, you're fired. That's my opinion. Right? I mean, how can that be your...
I mean, it was there yesterday.
Just
I'm going to have to call the police. He didn't even do that. If he would have done that, he could at least have plausible deniability. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what he's trying to go with. Oh, I don't know. Geez, I don't know. Did I do that? So, I don't know. With time will tell, and Kevin O'Leary seems to be taking a really weird stance on that, as he does on many things. You never know what to expect from him. Gold took 15 years to test the 786 Fibonacci retracement. Look at Bitcoin now testing 786 retracement. This is the nature of money.
Well, don't get me going in on gold. What is it? 7x? 10x? So if you buy gold on these exchanges, it's like 10x. So if they have $1 of gold, it's 10 times the amount is traded on the exchanges.
What do you mean, leverage?
Did you know that? Yeah, it's leveraged. No, it's 200. That's right.
200x?
Yep, 200x.
That's ludicrous.
I know. It's just a scam.
Sour Melon Game is saying, I'm pretty convinced at this point the mining stocks are intentionally being suppressed. None of these prices make any sense at all. No way people are taking losses this huge. I mean, that's what it feels like. I can't imagine holding a stock all the way down to 15 cents and then selling it. And what's the point of selling it at 15 cents? And I'm thinking it specifically of Core Scientific, you know, where if you bought that, even if you were late to the game and you waited and waited and waited, you probably paid $3 or $4 or $5 or $6 for that stock. So what would, other than, I guess it's December, you know, if people are taking losses, there could be some big losses. But, you know, I did not think that was going to be a big factor this year because people did not have big gains to offset with big losses this year like they have in years past. But maybe that's some of it. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. Alex said the lawmakers are about to make regulations, except many don't know anything about Bitcoin or Bitcoin miners. So if we're left with, we left with wallpaper then. I didn't read that into that. I don't know if it's... So I guess Alex's point is these guys don't even know what these things are, and they're about to go start making a bunch of laws and rules and regulations around them. I think there's going to be... I am hopeful, and I don't know, but I am hopeful, and I think there's going to be a lot of input put into that. I think there's a few people that do understand how this works, and I'm hoping we get some... I mean, right now they've done little to no regulations. You know, if they could just start out with a few things. If you guys look back at our channel that George and I have been doing these Friday streams for a year now, one of the main things I've been saying is they need to regulate the crypto exchanges. The two things we've been pounding the table on are crypto exchanges and stable coins. If they would just pass regulation on those two things, in my opinion, that would solve 90% of all the issues. But here we are a year later, and they haven't done any of that, so I'm hoping they attack that first, and I'm hoping that they have somebody in their ear that does know what they're talking about, and, you know, there's some reasonable legislation. But you're right, Alex, until that's why not having regulations is worse than having regulations, because now we're left with this situation where we don't know. What are the regulations going to be? Are they going to be a nightmare? Are they going to be a disaster? Or are they going to be reasonable? And all of that suppresses the price of Bitcoin. It's suppressing the price of the miners and the entire cryptocurrency universe, in my opinion.
We got bad news about our dogs.
Oh, boy.
They said they no good. Get new models.
New time to trade them for. You've had those dogs for a long time.
Yeah.
It's been that kind of year, so I don't want to be
It really has.
down. Or my dog passed away a couple of months ago, and unexpectedly, so that was sad. But let's not get into it on a Friday afternoon when everybody's trying to. Sanity's Eclipse says, Tom, isn't Coin being audited by Deloitte, a Big Four firm? Give them some credibility. Yeah, Sanity's Eclipse. That's exactly right. Deloitte Touche is auditing those guys, and that's why I'm saying. So when CZ says something like, well, they don't really understand our business, it's like, first of all, auditing is auditing. And accounting's accounting. So I don't care what your business is. The books need to be balanced, and balances need to be verified. And, obviously it's much more elaborate than that, but there's some fundamentals where to try to say the Big Four, well, they wouldn't know how to audit us anyway. I'm sorry, but I don't, even he doesn't believe that. I promise you that he himself does not believe that statement. It's a silly statement. So, and that's why I said if I would put my crypto anywhere, I would put it on Coinbase, and it is because they are publicly traded. They have to file with the SEC, and they're audited by Deloitte Touche. So, to me, that's as good as we've got so far.
That's not good enough.
Colton said it looks like you're going to conjure a spirit.
I think I am.
You are? Is it going to be good or bad? Man,
bad,
I feel like I am
bad.
so behind on this
Well, you can't
chat.
get them all. It's okay. It is what it is. I don't think anybody's going to blame you.
So I'm trying to keep up. I'm a mile behind. Gary's saying, I believe CleanSpark is at 273 coins and Mara at 219 coins halfway through December, if my math is correct. Yeah, I mean, CleanSpark is going to probably almost certainly come in second place again in December. Core obviously is at another level, which has gotten them into their own trouble. But so they're going to be first, and then you've got CleanSpark that seems to be well ahead of everybody else. You've got Riot that's a little bit of a wild card. They have some more exahash than CleanSpark does, and they switched pools this month, so they're hoping to have a better outcome. So to me, the most interesting one out of all of them is going to be, from a December results standpoint, is going to be, what does Riot look like? So I'm hoping for progress with Riot. They switched pools. I don't know how much of the month they were in one versus the other, but I would, even if they're not all the way up to, totally efficient, I'd like to see some big improvement out of them from an efficiency standpoint. And that's just it's everybody's calculation. It's their number of Bitcoin mined divided by the number of exahash they have. So most of these companies have been around 100 or 105 last month based on the difficulty level going up so much. That's about where the good companies are at. And, Riot and Marathon are not anywhere in that neighborhood. So hopefully this month Riot starts to get there. And Marathon, I think, is choosing to turn their machines on and off is all I can believe. That's what I imagine. I don't know that for a fact. I keep buying the dip, and it keeps dipping. Hot Bitfarms, I'm right there with you. FTX knew. They all knew. Nobody whistle blew on them because they wanted to keep their jobs. That is from Bob Cassidy. Enzo says Bitcoin will bottom in January. All the big institutions are waiting for regulated platforms to allow them to buy big. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things we've talked about here. A lot of the catalysts haven't happened yet. Big money is not in here yet because of all this nonsense that's going on. And it is my opinion, the first thing they will be in the cryptocurrency world is Bitcoin. And that will be the thing they'll be in the heaviest for the first, year or two as everybody gets their feet wet and starts to move in. But they haven't even started because there's too much FUD in the way. So my reminder, please like. We got 40 likes. That's awesome. Anybody who hasn't liked, if you could like, it helps the stream.
If you like it.
If you like the stream. I don't know if there's a dislike button. You can press that too if you dislike the stream.
If you dislike it, change the channel. I dislike it just because I'm disappointed in Bitcoin. But I'm going to tell you something. I do feel like we're starting to bottom out. It seems like they're just trying to throw everything at us.
Well, there's no doubt that it does seem like it's one thing after the next thing after the next thing. It's been a relentless stream of FUD. And I know, like today, I put the thing out on Binance, and I don't mean to add to the FUD, and I'm not trying to add to the FUD. But when CZ comes out and says the things that he said, I mean, that was an interview on CNBC. It's not like nobody saw it and nobody noticed.
Right.
So, like, you got to address it at that point.
I think, yeah, you have to.
Let's see. Just give us, so Patient Bill saying, just give us a Bitcoin spot ETF, and that is going to be a monster catalyst. So they've dragged their feet on that. And now, they've got a lot of good excuses why they can keep dragging their feet. But I didn't think they would make it to the end of 2022 without doing that. Now, I'm sitting here going, are they even going to do it in 2023? It will get done. We will have a Bitcoin ETF. But the longer they delay it, that's another gigantic catalyst. That may be the biggest catalyst of them all. Because there are so many investors that would invest in an ETF that are not going to go onto Binance or Coinbase or any of these other companies. They're just not going to do it. But an ETF would be, in my opinion, that would be maybe the biggest game changer of them all. But
I have a question. Did CZ have money before he did this Binance thing?
I don't know. He was a part of the FTX situation. Those guys were partners prior to all of this. I'm not exactly sure how all that works. I don't know where his money comes from. I don't know if it's all cryptocurrency money or what. Bob has some Voyager if anybody wants to buy it.
Trying to sell it off exchange?
Riot is trading for 1/3 the value of the cash it has. That's from ID Neon. Tom, some people had to sell a lot of Tesla because it dropped. And the miner stocks dropped to cover margin calls, not me. $150 selling Tesla is a lot of profit. Hut and Bitfarms losses can offset. So you're saying, are you saying that people are selling Tesla at 150? I think, unfortunately, most people are probably upside down in that now. There's a lot of long-term holders that they're still in great shape, but Tesla's down close to 60% from its highs. So, that's a big move to the downside. So between margin calls, between tax harvesting, between all of that stuff, yeah, there's Scott saying it's too late for a Santa Claus rally, ? It's never too late, not until December 26th. Adam is saying, is Bitfarms dead? Have been averaging in for a while. So that's a good, that's a question a lot of people are asking. A lot of people are assuming they're dead. They are being priced as if they're dead. And I just don't see, I'm not sure why that is. I don't see anything imminent about their situation. So in other words, they're not in a situation where they're cash flow negative and they're upside down and they're about to default on debt and or any of that kind of thing. In fact, they've had good operational updates. I think that's George waving goodbye.
No, because Patient Bill said he was going.
Oh, okay. I am still, not financial advice. I still have every share of Bitfarms from the beginning. So, and I've added to it, and I have some options. So that's just me. I don't think Bitfarms is dead. Now, if we go into an extended crypto winter that gets a lot worse than this, then they are one of 5 or 6 companies that I would add to my original list of 6. They are not on my original list of 6 that I think are in deep trouble. And even those 6 could survive. I just think those 6 are in clear, imminent danger, and, something has to happen immediately for them or else they have a problem. Bitfarms is in a second group. There's about another 5 or 6 companies that, if this thing gets worse and lasts for another 6, 8, 12 months, then they're going to have a big problem. So I would put them in that group. I just don't think we're going to run into that. I don't believe we're going to be at Bitcoin 12,000 6 months from now. But if we are, then obviously you got to look at this. All of these we will need to look through a different lens if that's how this ends up. Bob Cassidy said, is it me or is there a huge lack of integrity in the markets? I don't remember it being like this in the past. Yeah, this run right now has been different than anything I've ever seen. I agree, Bob. There's no... And it's not just the Bitcoin miners. It's a lot of the small cap, high growth stuff. A lot of the large cap growth stuff. There's the haves and the have-nots. There's a few sectors that are thriving. This stock market, other than a few sectors which are holding it up in a way that's a little bit deceiving, in my opinion, there's pieces of this market that have been absolutely decimated, destroyed, taken out. And it's a lot of different small cap sectors. I know, I follow the EV stocks, the electric vehicle and electric vehicle related stocks. All of the small cap ones have all been destroyed. Now, having said that, some of those companies, their product is not going to work out in the end. So those companies won't make it, but they're all beaten down in the same way.
Oh, and Colton, I bought CleanSpark yesterday. It went up to it's funny, I sold it right at the top on, I was like, what is that, Tuesday or Monday? For $244 or something like that. And I was like, that just seems so good. Tom always tells me if something runs up like 9 or 10% in like a half an hour to an hour, dump it. So that's what I did.
You dumped it?
I dumped it, and then I bought it again, 50 cents lower. It seems to be a good trading range.
And you're holding it still?
Yeah, I currently own it.
Okay. Darren is saying, I thought my position in CleanSpark was full at 10,000, but this morning when it dipped, I bought another 1,500 at $1.78. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's hard to pace yourself, and it's hard to stop. I mean, hopefully,
Tom, are you calling a bottom?
I think just for everybody else's sake, I'm never going to call a bottom again.
Okay.
Not for my own personal sake. I have my own thoughts, but to spare everybody else, I'll keep it to myself.
Well, you can tell me.
Barnabizer, I don't think it has anything to do with CZ's English. I mean, it was what he was saying. He was saying that auditors he doesn't want to have an audit because auditors don't understand his company. So,
Please call the bottom. Bob's like, call it, Bob it.
And then asking, in my opinion, what is the greatest risk to Marathon? I mean, my risk in Marathon is from an operational standpoint. They have yet to put 2 months in a row together that are good since they've come into existence. They have made fantastic deals financially in a lot of different ways, and but if you look at what they say they're going to do versus what they've done, they are about as far away from their plan as anybody is. And until I start seeing consistent performance from them, that's my biggest concern, is that they have so many other moving parts that are not their own. They're not vertically integrated at all, and that is their business model. They call themselves asset light, and they have partners. So as a function of relying on these partners, it seems like, one at a time, each one of these partners have let them down somewhere along the way and slowed up their timeline. So I'd like to see them get by all that. I don't even need them to be at 23 exahash. Just start producing 1,000 Bitcoin a month for a few months in a row. That would make me feel better. So I think my biggest concern with them is operationally.
But now, wouldn't it make sense to not mine as much because you're going to lose money?
That might be true. Then tell people we're not mining. We're getting things set up. We're ready to energize, but our price for energy, and that would not be a good sign, because there's plenty of companies that their price for energy does make sense. Like, I just looked at a deep dive on CleanSpark. They just put out their 10K. They are making a lot of money at Bitcoin 16,000. So that's, if Marathon isn't making money at 16,000, then that means their energy cost per coin is significantly higher than a lot of their competition, which would also be concerning to me. Bob said so many companies are going to fail. Bob said, please call the bottom. I've called the bottom a few times. It just hasn't worked out that way. Well, the last time I called the bottom, I was right for 5 months, but in the end I was wrong, because FTX happened and it took out that summer low of 17,500, and now we got a new low. So yes, unofficially, I do think that at most we will retest that. I don't see us going to lower places, but who knows? Bob said, if everybody calls the bottom, it will happen. Enzo said the miners bottom before Bitcoin. I mean, the miners have so underperformed Bitcoin, and to some extent that makes sense. It's a leveraged play, so as Bitcoin goes down, it's going to be worse for the miners, and as Bitcoin goes up, it's going to be better for the miners. So right now, we're getting the short end of the stick on this leveraged play, and it's very difficult to stick with. Colton said, I finally self-banned myself from the casino after losing $600 on video blackjack. We'll save so much money. Well, just think of it this way. Put it in, your favorite Bitcoin miner or a different stock.
Tom, a fellow George, said, two best companies for long-term, your opinion, miners.
Long-term?
Yep.
Safest companies, best companies. I mean, I have a top 3 or 4. I think Riot has a very strong balance sheet, and I'm waiting to see their December operational report, but it seems like they're doing what they said they were going to do, and they have a very strong balance sheet. And Hut, I think, has a very strong balance sheet. They're having a little bit of an issue with one of their energy partners right now, so that's affecting them a little bit, but they've got diversified streams of income and a strong balance sheet, and I think they have strong management. So, that's a company I like a lot, and CleanSpark is a company that I like a lot. And I'll throw Bitfarms in there. Those two, to a certain extent, are plays that I like just as much, but probably not as safe. Not financial advice. I mean, that's what I'm investing in. I'm telling you guys, and that's what I've tried to split between some that I think are lower risk, some that are medium risk. I'm trying not to take any high risk, because they're all so high risk to begin with that if you take the most high risk out of a basket of high risk stocks, you're probably going to lose.
Well, that's why you stayed away from cores, right?
Except until the day before they went in, I bought my first little piece of Core Scientific. So I missed by 1 day, or else I would have completely avoided them. But I had just bought in my first small portion.
So did you sell it, or?
I sold it yesterday.
Oh, you sold it before it took off?
No, I sold it when it took off. It took off, and I'm like, that's it, because I read what they're doing, and I have no, I won't say no faith. I have very little faith in this plan that's been put forward. So when it went ballistic like that, I sold it.
Oh, I got you. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
would've
yeah,
sold it
Chris
too.
Bitfarm. Today we closed on the sale of De La Pointe location and received net cash proceeds of US $3.6 million as expected. Thank you, Chris Dominator. I did mean to mention that because that is a meaningful amount of money for Bitfarms. That pays for their overhead for months.
Oh, does it?
At least more than 1 month. So, you know, that's bringing cash in the door like that from a non-operational standpoint, that's a big deal. So that was great news, and it's what they said they were going to do, but it closed, I think, ahead of schedule, and they did what they said. So, yeah, I was very happy with that. That was good news for Bitfarms. Thank you, Chris.
Hey, speaking because I need to ask you a question.
Fire away.
Are we going to do a stream next Friday?
Oh,
It's the day before the New Year, Christmas Eve.
It's the 23rd.
I think we still do it. We have fun on those. They're more relaxed.
That's right. That probably could be a fun one. But you guys can drop, anybody who wants to drop in the comments if they think they'd participate in a December 23rd live stream, which would be our normal Friday after the market closes live stream.
What was funny was I think the day after in Thanksgiving, I think that was one of our best streams ever.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun on that, and that was one we were thinking about canceling.
You know what? Maybe this time we should read the comments from the videos that and you can respond.
Yes.
Yeah, did you hear this? I didn't even hear about this.
What?
I heard about it in jest. I thought it was something stupid. Trump did an NTF. I didn't even know that.
Oh, I saw that. I didn't read deeply into it. It looks like he either did 99 of them or sold them for $99, or I'm not exactly sure what was going on there, but I did see something about that.
I heard he used FTX to do it. Is that true?
I would hope not. Bob Cassidy's saying, okay, seriously, why don't they decrease the hash difficulty, or would that hurt the overall price of Bitcoin? So, I mean, the hash rate difficulty is that is a calculation that is done based on how long it's taking the network to mine Bitcoin. So every 2 weeks it adjusts, and they go on an average. And if you look at these blocks, you know, some of these blocks take 20 seconds to solve. Some of them take a half an hour to solve. So altogether, over a 2-week period, they tend to be very close to 10 minutes, but sometimes they're a little bit under 10 minutes or a little bit over, and that's where they get their difficulty adjustment. So it's not arbitrary. The point of this is for over, you know, 100-year period for it to average 10 minutes for every single block that's been mined. That's the concept. And even over a 1-year period. Over a 2-week period, yeah, you're going to be a little bit above or a little bit below, so you adjust the difficulty every 2 weeks, and over time that keeps them mining at a constant pace. So it really has more to do with everybody, you know, are some of these people going to go out of business? Oh, and then you're asking, or would many miners going out, does that help Bitcoin? So if a lot of miners went out of business and they took their machines off the network, and there was a day where a lot of people turned their machines off because the global hash rate got down to 200 exahash, and it had peaked at 316. It's hanging out between, I think, like 240 and 280 right now. So we did get in December, we got a decrease in the difficulty level after getting a couple of big increases. So that's going to help everybody mine a little bit more in December. Hey, Logan.
Okay, you got to hear this NTF thing with Trump did. You ready for this one?
Fire away.
I'm just reporting the facts.
Just the facts.
Just the facts. He sold out 44,000 of them in one day. He did a cartoon cowboy, a sheriff, a race car driver, and other outfits. Equivalent of 1,448 ETH for 1.73 million as of 3 o'clock on Friday, according to OpenSeas.
I missed that last sentence. What did you say?
According to OpenSeas. OpenSeas?
Everybody seems to be saying yes on the live stream for the 23rd, by the way. I'm trying to catch up and look at
I enjoy them, so.
Adam's saying, what do you think about Bitfarms selling a piece of property? I think that was a part of their plan. Their new facilities are built, and they sold their old facilities. The reason they're not at their exahash has everything to do with South America. And, you know, whether or not that's getting held up outside of their control or if they are slowing it down on purpose, either way, I'm fine with it because it doesn't look like a good situation in the short term. So, and I would like them to straighten up their balance sheet. I'm less concerned about Bitfarms getting to 8 exahash than I am about them cleaning up their balance sheet. So let them keep paying down their debt. They've been paying down their debt in a big way for some time now. They're almost where I want to see them from a balance sheet standpoint. And then if they get there, then go do the next thing. And they, you know, this is not a time for them to be using their at the market offering. They're trading at 40-something cents a share. So you would hope they got that $3.6 million in, and that may be able to save them from having to issue any shares of stock for a little while. That's what I would hope that they would do.
So if you had $100,000 right now that you're going to invest in the stock market, how much would you put into crypto miners?
If I had $100,000 that I was going to invest in the market in a well-rounded out portfolio,
Yep.
I mean, already my portfolio is not well-rounded out, as many of you might have guessed. I am Bitcoin miner heavy, but I mean, you know, normal advice would be you should not, I think 25% is even a heavy piece of a portfolio. So
you would only say 25%?
I would do more, but I think 25% is already high. I would not buy any Apple, and that is interesting that you bring that up because that, I think, is one of the topics of discussion. So coming into 2022, and we're almost done with 2022, so now everybody's picking their number one stock for 2023. So I saw a couple of big name people today pick Apple as their number one stock for 2023, and I will tell you it was by far the number one pick going into 2022. So that is not my pick. I did not like it coming into 2022. I don't like it coming into, I like it less coming into 2023. And it's simply because they are so big that if the market...
Tell the stat you told me about how big they are. Tom, how big are they?
Let me see if I have the article. Oh, I didn't pull it up. So, and this article is a few days old, so I don't think the math works anymore. But at the time, Apple was bigger than Google, Amazon, Walmart, and Tesla. You could switch out Disney. The point was, all those put together, Apple was still bigger than. Now, they skipped Microsoft because Microsoft is pretty close to the size of Apple. Microsoft and Apple are so much bigger than every other company in the market. Even now, Google and here, I'll go to the, let's go. Let's see if we can go. Previous 100. No. So this is in the United States. So this is as close to real time as you can get. I think this is updated. So you can see, like, there used to be, I think, 6 stocks over $1 trillion. Apple's over $2 trillion. Microsoft's $1.8 trillion. Then Google, it drops all the way down to $1.1 trillion, which is still an astronomical amount of money. But you got Google at $1.1 trillion. Amazon is now under $1 trillion. Tesla is now under $1 trillion. Facebook is now under $1 trillion. All those companies, and by the way, you can see, like, Tesla's under $1 trillion. They're $474 billion. They were over $1 trillion. And if you keep going down the list, who else? Here's Facebook. They were over $1 trillion. They're at $317 billion now. So these companies didn't just fall under $1 trillion. They're not even close anymore. So, you know, you can add up a lot of these companies before you get to an Apple. So to me, that is why, if the market's going to have a tough year in 2023, this is what's holding the market up right now. So you've got, this is target number 1 and target number 2, in my opinion, if they're looking to have 2023 be a tough year. And already their multiples, to me, don't make sense. So, I mean, it's not like Amazon. Amazon's multiple is mind-boggling to me. So, I would not pick Apple. That would not be my number 1 pick. It would not be one of my picks at all.
Apple.
I mean, obviously, they're the biggest company in the United States. They're one of the biggest companies in the world, but they're $2 trillion. I mean, some of these have spiraled up to a place that just doesn't seem sustainable to me. There was never even a $1 trillion company until very recently. Apple got all the way up to either just under or at $3 trillion at one point. Darren said, did you read about the agreement between Plug and Nikola? They're both going to buy products from each other. They're both my top gainers next year. All right. No, I did not. Thank you, Darren. I did not hear about that. And those guys are on my watch list. We did a video on Plug. That was a member's choice. And Nikola is just one of the, you know, they obviously had a big problem a couple of years ago. They put some distance between themselves and that issue that had some egg on their face. But now it seems like they're actually a company that's moving in the right direction, I think. So, yeah, I'm glad to hear. That sounds like a good arrangement. I'll have to look into that more. Let's see. Ed says, what does Visa make? Like, what's their product or how much money do they make? Because they make a lot of money. Visa's the 9th biggest company in the U.S. Exxon is now back to the 10th largest company. They're back to a $400 billion company. They were a $400 billion company 15 years ago. And, you know, then they went downhill. There was a point in the middle where people thought this company was going away, but they're back. NVIDIA was very close to $1 trillion, but I don't think it got there, and it's now $400 billion. Let's see. I still think we have a bear market, so waiting to sell a rip. So yeah, I mean, this is what the question is going to be, and thank you everybody for liking. We're now at 50 likes. Much appreciated. That should have gone on there. Yes, please like. Thank you. If you're on and you haven't liked, I appreciate it. It helps the live stream, helps bring more people to the live stream, so we get more interaction. Logan said, in the end, looking back, but I'm taking that completely out of context, so I don't know what that means. So I just want to go, no, not to that one. Where'd you go? Okay, so I just want to take a look at this so you guys can see, just so that you know what I'm looking at. Like this. Where's the... That little battle right there. This line, I'm looking to hold this line. So this is on the 15-minute time frame. So you can see we're struggling. We've bumped into it a lot of times. We did get above it once about an hour ago, an hour and a half ago. And, you know, now we're down a little, but we're still at 16,750. So I suppose anywhere in there, if we can hold somewhere around there, maybe we can turn this thing around and get back on this alleged rally. So this is the plan that B. Riley, we were talking about cores and they, you know, Core Scientific, at one point they were up 250% in the middle of the day yesterday. So, I mean, they had, that wasn't just a rally. They went ballistic. So that's when I got out. This is some plan. This is, if anybody wants to see, they can look up B. Riley open letter to Core Scientific investors. And I did do a video on this. If you want the, you know, the shorter version, I did a 10-minute video on what this is all about. There's a lot of steps between now, here, and the finish line for this to happen. So it's certainly better news than nothing. You know, maybe this will happen, and maybe this will at least delay the inevitable, or maybe it will give them enough time to get out of this. But to me, the numbers didn't quite make sense, and it's certainly not a sure thing. They have to get a lot of other companies to agree, and then they didn't really even address the, you know, the non-secured creditors, you know, paying their bills, because their accounts payable and accrued expenses continue to grow and grow and grow. So, you know, I'm just not sure about the math on this, but if you guys want to check it out, this is exactly what B. Riley has a plan for Core Scientific. And they wrote a letter to the shareholders and to the lenders with what their proposal is. This is like a one-pager, but obviously there's something much more intricate than that behind all of this if they are to proceed. But I think they're willing to give them here $72 million of new money that they will subordinate to all the existing loans, and non-cash payable financing, so no principal due, no interest due until everybody else has been made whole is usually how that works. So it's a very generous offer. B. Riley is both a shareholder and a lender to Core Scientific, so they're already invested in this in a big way. So I'm just not sure about this, if this plan is ever going to happen, but at least something's on the table. Ed saying Apple's PE is 22, not crazy. They are making leaps in chip design. Ecosystem is recession proof. I'd probably be homeless before not having an iPhone. I have to text people. I mean, it's true. We've all become dependent on the phones, but there are competitors to the iPhone. Now, people are very loyal to their phone brand. So that has worked out in Apple's favor in a very big way. So there's no doubt. People don't like to switch between Android and iPhone and Android. So if you're on an iPhone, you're probably going to buy another iPhone. So that is true, and that's been a part of their success equation. But can they keep... I feel like, yes, we all need our cell phones, but there are so many people that every year and a half or 2 years go drop $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000 on a phone, and they do so because they can wrap it all up into their phone bill and pay for it over time. But at some point, times are getting tough right now, and people are going to start making some decisions that maybe they wouldn't have made. You know, maybe they skip a model. That's my thought process. Not that they're going to go out of business or that, you know, people are going to switch away from iPhones, but, you know, the tougher the economy gets here, the more decisions people are going to have to make. Gorilla is saying, my worry is miners and Bitcoin will not recover before the next halving in 2024. Profits for miners will get cut 50%. Something needs to give in 2023. So for that reason, I believe strongly that something will give, because all of these people are not going to stay. We are not going to be at 250 exahash on the global network of Bitcoin mining if people are losing money mining Bitcoin. That is going to drop, right? And if the halving occurs and we're still at these types of prices, that is going to drop through the floor. So that's the way things can even themselves out. I suspect there'll be a balance of, a slowing down in the worldwide hash rate until Bitcoin starts to recover in price. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But this is not the first halving, and the math has worked in the past. After the halvings, it's even been more profitable for Bitcoin miners, and that's just because of the run-up in Bitcoin after the halvings. So that's no guarantee that that will happen next time. Core's getting a desist notice gives 180 days at the time they can apply to NASDAQ for an additional 180 days. Oh, that's in response to Core's just... Yeah, they're given a notice, and then that's exactly right, Darren. They've got 180 days to rectify. They need to be above $1 for 10 consecutive trading days. And most companies, if they have a plan to survive as a company and there's a reason to go forward, then most companies will do a reverse stock split, which is frowned upon. And usually a company is in a pretty bad position by the time they're having to make that decision. But with some of these Bitcoin miners, they're in this boat because Bitcoin and this industry has been taken out in a way that I've never seen an industry taken out before. Most of these companies, the great Bitcoin miners are down over 90%. The bad ones are down over 99%. So these are unusual numbers. Let's see. I don't know who Alex is responding to, but he said, only if we have cocktails during and toast each other. Almost all the stocks are dropping since Powell spoke this week, which is true, and I'm not sure why that's true. Because, again, I watched his speech. We talked about his speech before he did it. I did a video on what I thought he was going to say. And, it's not just me. I think there was pretty much consensus as to what everybody thought he was going to say. And it's exactly what he said. But yet somehow the news ran with it as if, this was very hawkish. And the market needs to go down as a result of this. So I don't get it, but that's what happened. And obviously the market had a couple of bad days since then, for sure. As soon as the rate hike came out, even before he started speaking, as soon as the rate hike came out, which was 50 basis points, which everybody knew was going to be 50 basis points, everything started to drop. And then as Jerome Powell talked, it got, accelerated to the downside. Armand is saying the whole thing we are watching is manipulated. You guys work hard and are great at what you do, but it has all gone out of control, and so has the stock market. Better times are coming. Hold on. So I hope you're exactly right, Armand. It does feel like things have spiraled to a very strange place right now. So hopefully with patience, there's better times ahead. That has always been true in the past in the stock market. So, that doesn't mean that it's going to be true in the future, but we can only hope there's some return to a normalcy somewhere here in the future. And Douglas is saying this week's market action may be associated with a huge options expiration week. And that is possible. So we'll find that out next week. We'll see if things return to something a little more normal. Ed said Apple's smartphone market share is growing. Honestly, there is real data. Retention rate is over 90%, which I believe. I mean, people just don't switch platforms on their phone, so they're going to have retention rate. Nothing in history to compare that to, and India is still to come. So Ed is making the bullish case right there for Apple. And I don't disagree with any of those things. If the market's going to have a tough year, there's precious few places that they can really put a dent in market cap on. We just looked at the list. All these companies, even the big ones, are down 50, 60, 70% already. So, there's not much market cap left to take. Michael Anthony said the markets was 0.50 and Powell knows nothing, and why does investors listen to him when he knows no more than the rest of us? So for whatever reason, the Fed has dictated trading this year more than any year I've ever seen by a mile. That has been the number one. So I don't disagree with you, but for whatever reason, it's been all about the Fed this year. Mike said, wish I'd waited before buying Mara at $10. So that's the hard part. You buy it at $10, and that feels like a discount. And then it goes down to, under $4. Alex is saying, nothing, my portfolio is well-rounded. My portfolio is not well-rounded. It is skewed. But that was a decision. So, and you got to be willing to take, if you're willing to take the risk associated with that. And it certainly has not paid off because it's skewed toward Bitcoin miners. And obviously, we've all seen how they've done this year. So, but almost every stock on all my watch lists is down so horribly. It's, had I put it in something else, yeah, I guess some of these things could have been down 70% instead of 90%. Mike Robinson, hodl strategy in full effect. So that's where I'm at too, Mike. I mean, that's all, in my mind, that's all you can do. Unless you believe something has changed and you've changed your own thesis on where Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners are going, then there's no sense in selling at the lows. Now, if you've changed your mind and you think that there is a shift in the market and, things have fundamentally changed for Bitcoin, then obviously you've got to act accordingly. Mike is saying SWBI is cheap and has little to no debt. And I will buy more shares on Monday, which will be the last day to collect the dividend. Okay, so I guess there's a dividend. And there should be a short squeeze coming. That is per Michael Anthony. Duckman asked, any news on Stronghold Digital? So I don't have any update on Stronghold at this point. I mean, they did do that massive restructuring, but that was a few months ago now, and I really haven't seen or heard from them since. A couple of these companies stopped doing their monthly operational reports, I think just because they scaled back so much that there was no point. Now, Core Scientific didn't do its monthly report for November, and yet I know just from looking at their website, they mined more than anybody by far. So I think maybe they're just delayed, and they should still put that out, in my opinion. Mike Robinson saying CleanSpark, bargain at today's prices. I mean, to me, I agree with that. Absolutely. Everyone wants a short squeeze. I know. I try not to buy stocks with the thesis that it's going to short squeeze because it's rare and it seems to be random. So I do have a couple of stocks that I think are great companies that I do think are in a position to potentially short squeeze at some point, but I don't own them because they're going to short squeeze, because that can be a very long wait. But it is nice when you get one. All right, it looks like George had to go. I'm going to wrap it up unless anybody has any other questions or thoughts or anything. Hope everybody had a good week. I know this was not the best week for the Bitcoin miners by any stretch of the imagination. I will be putting together all my charts this weekend to update both what happened during the week to the Bitcoin miners, and also everybody has put out, or almost everybody has put out, their September 30th quarterly results. So I'll also compare what everybody did for the quarter as well. So that should keep me busy this weekend. Hopefully everybody has a great weekend. Please enjoy. All right, so thank you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being on a live stream. And as always, thank you for watching the videos. Thank you for commenting on the videos. Thank you for hitting the like button. All of that has helped the channel a lot, and I appreciate it. These are tough times for everybody, I know, but hopefully we're all hanging in there together and we'll get to the other end. So thank you very much, you guys, and have a great weekend.